Hello and welcome. This is World of Info and we're starting right away with Dr. Amr Mabrouk, Professor of Plastic Surgery at Ain Shams University, Dua Muhammad at the controls. I'm Najla Naguib and we're with you until 5 o'clock, so stay with us. This is World of Info. And today we're pleased to have with us Engineer Amr Gazarin, Chairman of Ardea Sporting Club. Hello and welcome to Radio Cairo.
It's a great pleasure to have with us Engineer Amr Gazarin. He's a graduate of the Faculty of Engineering, Cairo University in 1983, and he's also a graduate of DEO, the German Deutsche Evangelische Oberschule. And he's been working in outside engineering in a lot of businesses, and he's the chairman of Ardea Sporting Club, and he is the son of the very well-known Dr. Engineer Gazarin. And of course, we have a lot of things to talk about today. It's not going to be only strictly about Ardea Sporting Club, because he's a full-rounded, circled Egyptian gentleman who is very concerned with Egypt, with the hopes of Egyptians and with the aims of Egyptians of a better life. And we are going to discuss all these prospects and aspects of Mr. Amr Gazarin today in our program. Stay tuned with us and for more.
Yes, back again, Word of Info, and you can call us at 2578-9407. So back again, Word of Info.
So talking with you, Mr. Amr Gazarin, about, we have to start definitely, of course, with the Ardea Sporting Club. You are a very well-known athlete. You were a tennis champion. I think you won the Egyptian club many times, right?
Well, actually, I was among the best players, but I never won it, to be honest. Yes. And I was among the top 8 players in Egypt for a certain time.
And you represented Egypt in, I think, in Africa or something like
that?
In
Arab countries, in Africa, yes, of course. And the club, of course.
Yes.
The
Ardea Club. So you've been a member in Ardea Club all through your life. And is it the first time that you joined the board, or you were a member of the board as well?
No, actually, I've been a member in the board since I was 32 years old. Mm-hmm. So this is my 4th time, but first time as a president or a chairman of the board. But I started the way being just a regular member, and then a vice president, and now the president.
The Ardea Club is one of the oldest. I think it's the oldest club, working club in Egypt, if we can use the proper
Yes,
expression.
actually, the Ardea Club has been founded 1882.
Yes. And of course, being that old, so you have celebrated, you're trying to start celebrating 150 years soon, maybe in 10 years.
Exactly. Very soon it will be on 50 years. Exactly.
Yes. So I think one of the best things about Ardea Club it's actually the respirating lung of Midtown Cairo, and the fact that it has a lot of greenery, almost more than 80 acres, and also beside it is the part of the Ardea Club is now the Ardea Youth Center and the Police Club. All these areas has a lot of greenery that acts very much to renovate and renew the air. So we'll start from the environment. I think you're an environmentalist and you are in to protect the environment of the club.
Yes.
How can you keep all this greenery in the club maintained? I think this is one of the greatest challenges for you as a chairman of the board.
Yes, I fully agree. It's a big challenge to maintain the green. We have a big golf course, and we are owning in a golf course in the middle of town. It's you don't find it anywhere else. Just in the middle of the town, Zamalek area is very crowded. We have a golf course there, so we have like 50% of the club area and more is pure green. So it's a challenge to maintain it. We have the right people to maintain it. We are also lucky being in Ardea Club. Ardea is in Zamalek, and Zamalek is an island, so we don't have problems in water to water the green. We are trying also to educate the members how to be environmentally friendly. Now we are trying to turn the club into green club with the garbage, and trying to segregate the garbage from the source, and trying to be very much environment friendly.
And beside that, of course, is the fact that you are the only club in Egypt which permits the owners of pets to bring them, especially dogs, to bring them in a special area, and the only club that has a sort of, we can call it a cemetery. Really.
It is
a cemetery for the house pets. And I can always, when I frequently go to the club, I can find a lot of people bringing their dogs, enjoying the sun and or the shade, depending on the season. But usually, a lot of them come every day for the dogs and for the pets to enjoy.
Yes, we are maybe the only club in Egypt that allows members to have their pet join them in the club. We have a cemetery. Personally, I have 2 dogs buried in the club. And I think we're fortunate to have this facility in our club. Gezira is members are different in treating animals. We're animal lovers. It's among our culture. And we do also have horses and horse riding in polo. Polo sport is not available anymore in Egypt. Maybe 2 or 3 clubs still offer the sport. So our relation with animals, with horses, with pets in general is different. And I repeat, we're very fortunate to have this facility and this possibility in our club.
If we talk about animals, I think you have sort of great fondness to animals and charity. You as a family, of course,
yes,
have been much involved, you and your dear wife, involved with animal protection, especially the stray dogs and stray pets. Could you tell us about this experience? Because usually people are divided into 2 types of people in Egypt. I mean, there is not a third type. Only people who are pet lovers and people who are afraid of pets. So whenever, even if they say if they see a very friendly dog, they will become very agitated and think that this is going to be a wolf or a fox that is going to bite them. And when they see a cat, they would always be kind of inhibited with a sense of discomfort, and I hate the fur and on the contrary, you can find people, and I find very modest people going around the streets carrying with them food and distributing this food all over to the pets and to the animals. So these are the only 2 types of human beings in Egypt.
Well, allow me to say there is a third type,
yes,
who hates animals and make it a point to how do you say to torture animals. And this is the type I personally hate. I don't mind, and I understand you might be afraid, you might be worried from animals, but at least don't try to torture the animal. Just leave it in peace.
So live and let live.
Live and let live.
So
exactly.
there is a sort of an initiative that is all over the world nowadays dealing with stray dogs and pets, because the lifetime expectancy for a stray dog or a stray cat is much limited.
Minimal. It's like 3-4 years.
3-4 years maximum, because they are subjected to harsh environmental factors, whether these are human factors or weather factors. So usually they will pass out.
Well, this initiative is called TNR. I mean, you trap the animal, you neuter the animal, and then you release it again. And within 3-4 years, the amounts of stray dogs and stray cats on the streets, it automatically will decrease, because as you said, the lifespan is 3 to 4 years due to different harsh environmental reasons. So this is the civilized way of dealing with the problem. Of course, there are different ways of dealing with it, but I find it very uncivilized and very painful, at least for me, by poisoning or killing or whatever. My wife and myself, we hate this approach, and we do recommend everybody to follow a merciful and a decent way of treating the issue, which the civilized world is following, which again we call TNR.
Is it all over the civilized world? I mean, you're talking about Europe, Asia, and the States?
Yes. In most of the countries, they have this experience, and the countries who successfully ended this problem, they followed this procedure for a few years, and the problem will vanish by itself.
And I think, for example, in big cities like New York and other bigger cities in the United States of America, usually all the household pets are made sterile by the owners, because they cannot afford to have such a small apartments or small houses to have a dog with its
as you said, in Europe and the States, only the breeders who keep the dogs possible to breed.
Yes.
Otherwise, at homes, and they do the operation for economic reason and plus for behavior reason, because dogs especially are very dominant. So if you don't do the operation, dogs are more in favor of proving themselves as bossy, and this might end up with a fight. So it's good to do the operation anyhow.
So you have an experience with these animals, and I think you have had a sort of a small NGO, or not a really established NGO, but with friends to have a shelter for these animals.
Yes, well, among Gezira members, there are a lot of members who are really animal lovers, and they do care about animals. So to sort the problem of stray cats in the club, some of the members took the initiative of renting a place a little bit outside Cairo and moving the cats down to this area, and we're all sharing the cost of the place in terms of employees or renting the place or food. So it's not an official NGO, but it's a sort of
friendly
group of friends supporting the idea of dealing with mercy and with love to the problem of the stray cats and dogs, of course.
Since we're talking about dogs and cats, we have also to include other animals, because a friend of mine who was very kind-hearted, once she was seeing a donkey that has been abused by one of the owners, and she simply came out of her car and bought the donkey. You remember that, Yanagla? So she has a sort of a farm, and she bought the animal and kept this animal with dignified until his time of death. So I really I feel that this can be done.
Well, personally, I had an experience with donkey as well.
Yes.
And I found on a Facebook a picture of a donkey caged in a bird cage, very small cage. I felt so sorry, and I got in contact with the lady who took the picture, and I asked her to buy the donkey. And she went and she bought it, and it's free in a farm now.
Oh, that's very kind of you. Since we're talking about dogs and cats and donkeys, we have also to mention horses. Gezira Club was famous for the horseback riding and, of course, the horse racing. This is not anymore common, right?
Horseback riding, yes, we still are. We still have the sports, and it's a very elegant sport. We have a school for teaching the young children how to ride horses in a proper way, but the racing is not existing anymore.
Is it existing in Egypt, in Alexandria, or
not in Alexandria? Maybe still in Shams Club. Maybe I cannot confirm, but the level of the sport itself in racing has downgraded a lot. So I don't think it's big sport anymore, not like previous days. I cannot confirm whether it's still in Shams or not, but not in Gezira anymore.
Talking about polo is one of the, as I'm talking as a plastic surgeon, is one of the most dangerous games in the world. That's why it has been cancelled from the Olympics, because holding the cup of the polo, you are concentrating totally on the ball, while you're not concerned with the other players. And therefore, the injuries of the facial injuries of the other players is very dangerous.
It's a very dangerous game.
Yes, that's why it was omitted from the Olympics 10 years back. So how far is it progressing in Egypt? I mean, I think the Olympics has really downgraded the game itself.
Yes, but it was still considered an elegant sport. It's related to horses. We in Gezira, we still have a polo team. It's among maybe 4 or 5 teams maximum in Egypt who still practice this game. We're proud to keep the heritage of the old sports in the club. Among them is still polo.
Yes, polo definitely is one of the very dignified. It's difficult. I think the difficulty is compared, since I used to do some horse riding before. I think its difficulty matches the horseback riding, because it's I
think it's more difficult.
Yes, I think so. It's to concentrate on a ball.
To play a ball game while riding a horse and hitting with the racket the ball. It's very difficult.
And getting into the goal and things like that. I think this is quite difficult. So let's have a small shift in our talk, because definitely talking about animals and dogs and cats will attract us also to another way, which is of course more important, unfortunately, of course definitely more important than animals, which is human beings. I think you have an NGO, you told me, that is concerned with education. Will you tell us about this experience? Because I think this is very important to attract the attention of people. What should they do as regards education of the impoverished or the unprivileged?
Yes, myself and my friends, we do definitely believe that the country or the government cannot do everything by itself. Unless we as people share the responsibility and do some efforts to upgrade the country, our chances are quite limited. So we took the initiative, my friends and myself, to found an NGO supporting what we call education community schools. Community schools is simply a small class where you have a maximum of 30 students. The curriculum is provided by Ministry of Education in the United Nations. We go to areas where schools are not available, and most of the kids in this area don't go to schools for many different reasons. The nearest official school has to be at least 4 kilometers away to get an approval to open a community school in this particular area. So we have now running about 17, and we're starting the 18th community school. We started with Fayoum Governorate. It's close by here to Cairo, so we can visit the place more often. We have planned to go all over Egypt. I believe it's a very nice initiative, because our belief, me and my friends again, that we have to start with education. If we have proper education, many of Egyptian problems will vanish and will get solved by itself. So education is the key for any progress in the country.
This is a primary school?
No, it's not. It's not a school. It's not a traditional school. Again, it's a class. It's one class. It's one big room. The specs of the room we also are put by the Ministry of Education. Room is big enough to host 30 students. Students are usually from age 4 to 12 in the same class, and we qualify you after 6 years to enter.
The first year of preparatory.
Exactly. So you stay in the community school for 6 years, and then you join the government school first year.
So they have an exam every year?
They have an exam every year, yes, exactly, to be upgraded till the 6 years.
And after that, what happens?
Well, this is a good question, because the system for now force you that after that they move to the regular government school,
which could be further 4 kilometers away.
Which could be further, but the kids will be more better in age. I'm grown up and can take care of themselves than being 4 years or 5 years. But the problem is more on the education side. But by experience, it proved that community schools graduated kids after 6 years are better educated,
of course,
from compared to the kids from the government school. So joining the first year of preparatory in the government school is a sort of downgrade. We have to find a system to keep the level of the kids high and to continue till they approach the university.
Would you like to enlarge? I mean, instead of having 18 and 19 community schools like that, classes, could you increase the prospect by making another class that will take the preparatory school and the secondary school, or this is not planned?
For now, by our NGO, it is not planned, but it's a good question, and this needs to be educated with the Ministry of Education, because as I said, the NGO, our NGO, is fully working under the supervision of the Ministry of Education.
This is very important to be working with a great coordination. This is
exactly. For now, it's not among our plan, and mind you, there is a lot of also of financial issues. I mean, it's to continue and to grow, you need a lot of financial support. And it's not that easy to collect and to raise funds. So it's a big challenge. But for now, we're more focused on the traditional economics educational class and community school. And we want to increase the number of community schools from 17 to whatever. And we want to move to different governance, not only Fayoum.
How many, through the study that you have made, how many schools like this Egypt needs? Under the same prospect of 4 kilometers away.
What I've heard, and I'm not sure about the figure, we're talking more than 3,000 schools are needed in Egypt.
Yes.
Similar to this community school.
The problem, I think, is how many teachers are working in this school?
In each class are two ladies. I mean, also by default, they have to be ladies. So it's 2 ladies, and this is also an extra plus that we add to the community and to the NGO, that we usually these 2 ladies are from the area,
from the village.
So from the village, so we qualify them to be teacher in the community school. So it's a fine job in the area for these 2 ladies, and you create a lot of positive energy in the area. So I hope that we can, at least our NGO will be successful enough to do every year like 20-25 of similar classes all over the world, all over Egypt. There are other NGOs like Masr al-Khair. They also have their community schools, and I'm sure others as well. But as I said at the beginning, what I've heard, we need more than 3,000 similar community schools in Egypt to cover the gap between the kids who do not go to school and between the availabilities of government schools in place.
So it's mainly for school dropouts.
Exactly.
More or less.
Exactly.
Yes, I think this is very interesting. I think after the break we have more to talk about other NGOs that you're involved in.
Yes, back again, word of info, and you can call us at 257-89407. Our guest today is Engineer Amr Gazarin, Chairman of Gazira Sporting Club. So back again, word of info with Engineer Amr Gazarin, Chairman of the Gazira Sporting Club, Dr. Amr Mabrouk, Professor of Plastic Surgery at Ain Shams University. Interesting stuff.
It all started with talking about Gazira Sporting Club, but when we are off air, our dear listeners, we went to a very lovely topic, which is saving animals. And I think it's a mission that Mr. Amr Gazarin and his wife, Mrs. Sharifa, has done all through their lives. Now they have 29 animals at home, right?
Yes, although Shifa is not very happy to announce the figure. بتخاف عليهم الحسد.
Afraid of envy or bad eye.
So, but yes, we do have between cats and dogs close to 30
dogs
at our
and
place.
cats,
Yeah,
and
dogs and
they
cats,
are not all thoroughbred or something. They are mostly injured animals or animals in bad.
They all started mostly as stray dogs or cats, and we took them from the street, except 2 or 3 of them.
Yes. And you've been keeping a very close eye that is even preventing you from enjoying going abroad or going any visits, simply because you want to keep these animals in good health.
Exactly. I mean, I mean, you keep thinking about them. It's like having 29 kids at home. So it's a big responsibility, and we do our best to keep them a good life.
Yes. And another thing that we missed just before in the first part of our program, it was not a donkey, it was a monkey.
Of course. Of course, it was a monkey that I rescued. It was caged in a very small bird cage. So I had to buy it, and now it's living good life in a big farm.
And in the big farm, the monkey has befriended a cat.
With a small cat, with a kitten, yes. And they're excellent friends now.
And looking at these photographs of a monkey and a cat and the videos with the monkey and the cat, definitely this is stimulating. And I believe what Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, that in في كل كبد رطبة صدقة. Meaning that whatever you give to animals or human beings or whatever good deed that you give them, definitely this is very
we very much believe in this, of course.
Definitely. We have to talk, since we are talking with Amr Gazarin, we have to talk about Dr. Adil Gazarin. Your father was a pioneer and the chairman of Nasr company, and also he was the minister of industry in Egypt back in the 80s or early 90s. I think it was in the early 90s. I think. Early 90s, right? I believe so. So the experience, and definitely you were living with him as a witness of the trial of building a full 100% Egyptian car. Was it a dream that came true or half true?
To be very honest, my father never believed in 100% Egyptian car, and he was more in favor of 100% bus or tractor or truck, but not a passenger car. At that time, the economical scale of the country was not allowing to produce 100% car. To produce 100% car, it's a huge investment. And usually countries who are producing 100% car do not count on their by doing all the parts by themselves. They buy different parts from different countries, components from feeding industries. So my father, I mean, the scale to make a car has to be over, I think, 100,000 cars to have economic scale to invest in this industry. So, and it's very fashionable, the passenger cars. The models change continuously, while it's different from trucks and tractors and buses, where you can heavily invest in the engine itself, and the model does not change. So it's easier, it's more economic to invest in these 3 types of vehicles instead of the passenger cars. And unfortunately, what my father said along the last years is exactly what happened during the last 20 years. All the companies that came to Egypt, they were more concerned on assembly, but no one was interested to really produce in Egypt, because so many licenses were given. So there was no scale to invest heavily to build or to increase the percentage of local industry. And after a few years, they all made good money and they disappeared from the country. So my father was against so many licenses to be given for assembly. His advice was, if you want to increase the percentage of local industry, you have to close licenses, and you have to close imports, unfortunately, like India or Korea or other countries, until you reach the economic scale, and you focus on a model, even if it's a little bit obsolete.
Like what India did in the
what India did, exactly.
They
But
had a very strange car in the 60s.
for some time,
It
exactly.
went from the 60s to the 90s, which is
Yes,
really very
exactly,
strange.
exactly.
I remember this model.
But granting licenses for anybody who applied to assemble, there was no interest in investing in the real industry.
Yes. But we all enjoyed the 128, remember?
Well, of course.
You had one?
I had one, of course. Most of the Egyptian families
Had
had the 128. Especially the 128 was such an excellent and successful model. Even in Italy, I remember I've been once to Rome, and there was this very special color of orange. This car was mainly...
Nagla had a 128 orange.
This was the color for the one, like when we say Ferrari is red,
Yes.
the 128 was orange.
Like
So
an Alexandria taxi.
like Alexander taxi. So I saw Rome, I remember very well. This was the car at that time. I saw Rome all in orange.
Yes.
And talking about car models, I used to have a dog, German Shepherd, and I called them at that time Ritmo, because the Ritmo car was a new car. It was a model at that time. So I had Ritmo for 12 years.
Yes, but you had 128, of course.
And I had 128, of course, but as a car, not as a dog.
So I think the second important impact of your father, I think, on you, beside becoming an engineer or becoming so well informed about the car industry, is even as an eyewitness, was photography. Your father had many exhibits for his photographs, and I had the honor once to attend some of these photography exhibitions, and I really enjoyed the photographs.
Well, my father is always considering the camera as his best friend. He had very busy life. He had no time for any other hobby. So camera was easy. You travel with the camera. Whenever you have the opportunity, take a shot. So this was his hobby, was his love. And he used to do a lot of exhibition lately and donated the outcome of any exhibition to different NGOs or different cases. So, and he used to enjoy previously to take photos black and white. He thought this is more artistic.
Of course.
And lately, of course, he was taking the color one, and it was, as he always used to say, it was an easy hobby because it does not consume time. He just keeps his camera with him, and now even with the telephones, you don't even need a camera.
Yes,
you just,
but not the same quality like
of course, not the same quality like that. Although the telephones have improved a lot in the camera, but of course not the sophisticated brands of cameras. So he used to enjoy it, and as I said, but at the time he was doing his PhD in Switzerland, back in Zurich. He did his PhD in the ETH. I believe you know the ETH of Einstein.
Yes, of course.
Institute of Technology. Exactly, in Zurich. He started this hobby during that time, and since then it became his favorite hobby, and it continued with him till today.
And did you catch up with this hobby or not yet?
Not really. I mean, I tried. I used to take some photos, but some time ago. But to be honest, no, not really. But I enjoy his photos. I go to the exhibition, but no, it's not among my hobbies, at least for now. Well, my dogs and my cats are keeping me very busy whenever I have time.
At least you can have a lot of photographs of them.
Well, I'm doing this.
Well, after the break, more to come with Mr. Amr Gazarin, the chairman of Jazeera Sporting Club.
Yes, back again, word of info, and you can call us at 2578-9407. Yes, back again, word of info, and more on animals.
You saved the hawk once.
Yes, this was in Hacienda at the north coast. Yes, he was drowning in the beach on the sea, and we pulled him out. We dried him. We offered him shelter. We tried to offer food. He refused. We kept him safe for 48 hours. And then it took off, and it
very simple.
Very simple. It was an amazing experience.
And he surrendered when you saved him. Right?
Of course, he was looking for help. You can tell, and he was terrified, of course. But we saved him very gently. We didn't know exactly how to handle him. It is an experience for us. It's a new experience. We don't have the experience. But we made some contacts. We called a lot of friends and maybe more expert people in this area. And they all said he will not eat. He is used to hunt by himself. So he will not eat from. We bought him meat. We got him all different ideas that may cross your mind. He refused totally to eat. So one of the advice we got, if he is in good health and good shape, he just need to rest. Probably he was immigrating from somewhere far, and he mislanded. So he landed in the middle of the water, and the water made him heavy. His wings went wet, and they were very heavy. He couldn't leave the water anymore. So we give him like a small racket, where he grasped the racket, and we pulled him out of the sea.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, I will show you the picture. And then we dried him and we gave him a big room as a shelter for 2 days. After 2 days, we decided to bring him out to have him try to hunt in the garden. And surprisingly enough, and it was a very happy surprise, we saw him taking off. He just took off. And an amazing scenery, and like he made a tour in the sky, like telling goodbye and thank you, and he disappeared. And it was really amazing.
Oh, this is very interesting. One day we had here.
I feel that I'm listening to National Geographic.
Yeah, well, if you visit our house, it's more of a National Geographic area.
Because once here we had a friend of ours who was an ambassador, and besides being an Egyptian ambassador, distinguished Egyptian ambassador, Ahmed Riyad, he is also the vice president of the the Egyptian Bird Watching Association.
Okay.
And he was a class fellow of Najla, and he used to go whenever he goes to the American university, whenever they had any field trips, he would always bring his binoculars and start his bird watching hobby. And of course, he was misinterpreted by some of his colleagues. but he had very good postings all over the world. Where, for example, he was in Chile for some time, and so he was able to get more countries where there was exact and definite chances for bird watching all over the world. And when he came to us and talked about this hobby, I felt that this is just a window opening on the world of wildlife. But with talking with you, we are talking about kindness towards animals, and this is, I think, very rare.
But let me interrupt you and tell you that the Jazeera Club can offer also some interesting bird watching. We have very old trees in the Gulf area, and while walking in this area early in the morning, especially, you find very nice colored parrots. I believe they are a rare type. I mean, we have very interesting types of birds and parrots in beautiful colors that you can watch in our golf courses, especially early in the morning.
And of course, I've noticed also that the trees have their names put on them.
Of course, we have trees. They go back more than 100 years now. They are a treasure, and we're trying to keep. Why I started talking about environment. They are part of the environment. They are part of our heritage in the club, and we're trying to keep the history of each tree and have a track record and references by the name and taking good care of it.
You said that the source of water is no problem. You're not taking water from the company, you're taking water for
well, we have both types. We have from the company, of course, and we have what we call beer.
Wells.
Well, exactly.
Yes.
Again, it's provided by the company of water.
Of course,
but I mean the availability is there.
So it makes life more easier.
Of course, to maintain a golf course or such a big area, if you have a problem of shortage of water, it's a problem. I know the owner of different golf courses, for example, at the Red Sea area, they spend a fortune.
Yes,
water bill to maintain a golf course there. So luckily enough, we don't have this high bill to maintain our club and our courses.
Definitely, that's also a great interest. So after the break, we'll talk more about the Jazeera Sporting Club.
Yes. Back again, and you can call us at 2578-9407. Okay, so back again with Engineer Amr Gazarin, Chairman of Jazeera Sporting Club.
So since we're talking about sporting club, so we have to talk about sports in the Jazeera Sporting Club. You were winning a lot and you're competing with Heliopolis Sporting Club, which I used to belong to and still belonging to, in the water games. And by this we mean water polo, water ballet, and swimming. Why is that games in particular? And why you're not that very famous in other types of sports?
Jazeera Club and Heliopolis Club, I think they share the same style and the same type of members. When I say the same, meaning about the standard of living or the culture of the education. And sports and pools like water polo or swimming or ballet are not the very common sports in the regular club or the football clubs. So Heliopolis used to be and still is among the best clubs in Egypt, for example, playing water polo.
Yes.
Same for Jazeera. You used to play water polo. Okay. So the strong teams in water polo in Egypt maybe are 4 or 5 teams. Among them are Jazeera and Heliopolis. So the being special in these games, I think, are due to being special in the type of members. We don't practice, for example, bodybuilding. We don't practice different sports that are not available in our club, which are more available in different areas. Maybe I don't want to say less fortunate areas. They like different sports, like boxing, like bodybuilding, like weightlifting. So each area has, or each club has games that members do that attract members. So Heliopolis and Gezira, they come from the same background. So we share the same sports and always are in competition together.
How is football going in Gezira Club?
Football is not, Gezira was never and will never be a football club. But of course, like any other children in Egypt, young children, they love football. And we have well-organized schools for football. So we have hundreds of kids play footballs, but in schools. I mean, we'll go up maybe to the age of 14, 16, starting from the age of 5. But we don't have the intention to play at higher levels or at higher age.
Handball and basketball, do you still?
Basketball, we are among the best teams in Egypt. Basketball is the only game, that team game, not individual, where we really compete. We are among the best teams in Egypt who won the cup several times and won the league several times, and hopefully this year we are also competing to win the league.
What about athletics? I haven't seen athletics.
The track and field.
The track and field, we used to be in all good days. Nowadays we are trying to revive again the track and field games. We are innovating the track area and the field itself, and we have a very active committee taking care of track and field activities, and hopefully we'll see again very soon champions coming out of the Gezira track and field. But mind you, also there are, talking about the track and field, there are now new sports like the CrossFit and the different type of athletes practicing different type of games, or not really competitive games, but all about fitness and being fit, like triathlon, for example, or CrossFit,
which
or whatever.
Play, actually. Yes. But definitely the track and field should take more concern from the club, because you used to play. I mean, in Heliopolis we have a strong team that plays track and field, and I think it's well deserved, especially for the children nowadays with the progress of watching games on the internet and on the satellite channels. It's becoming more popular, the track and field. People are interested to know that this is a source of medals for the countries and for the nations, and people are becoming more concerned, and especially it's individual games, so it gives chance for
yes,
young
I fully agree.
Young athletes to perfect, because they're not depending on other colleagues in the team. So if one of them is interested in hurdles, for example, he will have a chance, since you have.
Of course, I fully agree. As I said, we have a very active committee now, and this board is very concerned with track and field games again. And I hope and I promise within few years we'll have again champions in this area.
Now, the other thing that might be talking about is about not only the trees. I have noticed that there is not a lot of flowers. Are you interested? Yeah.
Are you serious? Well, I'm very much concerned, since I've been the chairman of the club since a year ago. I'm very much concerned about having flowers all over the club. When was it last we visited the club?
2 weeks ago. So
well, 2 weeks ago, mind you, we are in the middle of the winter.
Yes.
So it's not the right season for club.
Yes.
But I promise, if you come in March, you will only see colors, flowers everywhere. And I'm using the best experts in Egypt to give me the advice and the help in this area.
Yes.
I believe in flowers. I believe in colors and the sense of beauty, and which gives a very positive energy in the area when you see flowers. And especially, as I said, we are on an island in Gezira Club, so we have very the land itself is very fertilized. We can have beautiful colors and beautiful flowers. So I promise, next time when you visit the club, we'll feel the difference.
I'm going there tomorrow.
Well, tomorrow is a very short notice, but give me till March and you will see the difference.
Well, I think today was a marvelous and a different episode of World of Info. We had the pleasure and the honor to have with us engineer Amr Gazarin to talk about life, aspects of life. We didn't talk just about Gezira Sporting Club, which is of course part of of your domain and part of your CV and part of your life, but definitely we have talked about the other prospect of living as a human being. And thank you very much for your humanitarian efforts to human beings and to animals.
And thank you so much for this opportunity. It was a pleasure. I can talk for hours about animals especially.
Yes.
I don't get bored about talking about animals.
And you can never get bored from listening.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And by this we come to the end of World of Info. With us today was engineer Amr Gazarin, chairman of Gazira Sporting Club, Dr. Amr Mabrouk, professor of plastic surgery at Ain Shams University, Dua Muhammad at the controls. I'm Najla Nagib. See you next Thursday, same time, same station, FM 95.4.